Alright, so here's what the fuel pump looks like after it's been removed from the gas tank. About 8 inches long, and the fuel filter itself is actually down here in this bowl. And now I'm going to try and remove this bowl cover to see if I can't get a look at what's inside here, inside the bowl, and determine if I've got a problem with the filter and whether it's plugged or not. Okay, I got the bowl off the bottom of this fuel pump, and I learned a trick as I was getting that sucker off. It took me about 20 minutes, but I finally figured out a trick that made this easier to get off. This little tab right here slides up inside that back side of the fuel pump. It comes in, goes in behind here, so the only way you can get access to it is through the top. You can see that slot down there on the left, bottom left, that fits through that slot. It is a bugger to get in there. But if you've got a really long, and the skinnier the better, needle nose pliers, what I discovered what worked for me is if you grab a hold of that sucker from the top like this, you'll notice that the tab is at an angle. So I was able to pinch it, and as I squeezed, my pliers would keep popping off. It would slide off like this, pop off, pop off, pop off. But every time I did it, I was playing, I had to put a screwdriver right here on the edge, and I was applying a little bit of a twist, downward twist to this guy, to apply some pressure to pull it down. And every time I would grab a hold of one of these tabs and pinch it, they would slide a little further into the slot, a little further into the slot, until it cleared that edge. And then it popped right off. So that worked well for me. Initially, I was trying to pinch it and hold it closed while I pulled, and that just wasn't working. But just repeatedly pinching that edge right here, squeezing that closed, even though my pliers was popping off, every time I did that, it made a little progress, and this bowl popped loose. So it was interesting once I got it off. I don't know if you can see this. This is what was inside my bowl. There's a couple of dead bugs in there. That was inside the bowl. Dumb things. And they got in the tank through the fuel tank filler cap, I'm sure. I wasn't real careful, probably pouring fuel in, or knocked a couple of them in there, and this was in there as well. I'm looking at this strainer, and the strainer doesn't actually look that bad. I'll have to do a little more inspection of it and see if I can figure out what's going on with it. It may actually be okay, but that's the piece I need to replace. Well, I ended up not replacing the filter. I just reassembled the pump and put the cap back on. That filter does not appear to be designed to come off. It was on there in such a way that I was going to have to cut it off. And I didn't see any way to get a new filter on there, and I couldn't find any place where I could even buy a filter. So you were going to have to make your own filter to stick in there. And there's guys that you can find on YouTube that have found a way to make that work, but I'm just not confident that I'm going to get a good result by trying to manufacture my own filter to put in that bowl. So I just reassembled it. I ended up putting in a new fuel pump and filter in the tank, which didn't fix the problem, by the way. So after all of that, a new pump and filter did not take care of the fact that I couldn't keep the motor running. So I ended up draining the gas and recycling the gas, and that took care of the problem. So strangely enough, it wasn't the fuel filter, it was just bad gas. So before you go through all this trouble of pulling your pump, I would cycle the gas and see if that takes care of your problem, because it sure took care of mine. So now I got this filter sitting around, I guess, as a spare. I was able to acquire one of these. I bought it off eBay. It cost me 75 bucks. Wasn't too bad, I figured, for a new pump. It was better than buying it from Kawasaki direct or through a local dealer. They were going to, I believe they wanted 250 bucks for that fuel pump. So I found one new on eBay and went that route, and I took care of it. So cycle of gas, start there, and if you got to go to the pump, now you know how to get it out and what you're up against. I will say that when you go to try and remove this thing, if you did want to inspect what's in the bowl, this plastic is super, super brittle. And if it's cold, my feeling is you could very easily snap this sucker. And then you're going to end up needing a new pump anyway. So resist the urge to do that. I was able to get it off successfully, just being very, very careful. You don't want to apply any pressure at all to these little tabs here and these little prongs that hold this in place, and the other one that's on the inside here, because I feel like you could very, very easily snap those. So be careful. Good luck.